I've been accepted. Hey, so Dan Campbell speaking today, what stood out?
I thought three things. One on defense, and that was that, they are still focused completely and primarily on stopping the run. Obviously, Brock Purdy in this passing game have been elite all season. He's explosive, driving the ball down the field. They've got weapons galore. IU, Kittle, even McCaffrey, Debo if he plays, but it still starts with stopping the run for this defense. I also thought Dan Campbell said something that was telling about maybe their change in defensive philosophy over the past month and a half, and that was you have to give up something to get something. And I think that's a pretty clear reference to all of the secondary blitzes that they've begun to show over the past maybe 5-6 games, maybe really since that Broncos game when Melifonwu stepped into the starting lineup for Tracy Walker. And they've been able, and Aaron Glenn has been able to weaponize those guys, Melifonwu, Branch. I mean, Melifonwu, since that Broncos game, 4.5 sacks, 7 QB hits, 9 pressures. Branch, since that game, 2 sacks, 4 QB hits, 6 QB pressures. And they are giving up something in the process, and it feels like Cam Sutton is probably the most obvious victim of this adjustment. He's been in a lot of one-on-one, no-help coverage against elite receivers. It might happen again this weekend, but they're willing to compromise Cam Sutton to get after the quarterback. And obviously, it's paid dividends because while the overall numbers and points allowed might be the same, their ability to put pressure on quarterbacks over the past month and a half really has changed this defense.
Well, getting pressure on the quarterback is key, and obviously this season they haven't gotten a whole lot from the defensive line outside of Aiden Hutchinson, who's been a beast, but they've got to find it from some of the other places. Now, during the season, they'd gotten it from the linebackers. You just mentioned now it's a shift because they're getting it from safeties that they're bringing up to the line of scrimmage. A guy I've been waiting for and hoping he's going to come back is James Houston because he could provide it from the other side from Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. He hasn't been activated in terms of the game day roster for each of the last few weeks since he's been activated from the injured list. Is there any indication that maybe James Houston is ready to go and he'd be an upgrade and he's the guy that has to play, or is it still a situation where, you know what, he's not a clear-cut guy to get the job?
Well, James Houston says he's ready to go. All indications from his end are that he's ready and eager to get out there. And I really think that the decision last week was a game day, maybe hour to hour decision, and it probably came down to Sunday morning as to whether or not Houston would play. I think it's encouraging that he's practiced in full capacity for the past couple of weeks now. He feels like he's ready to rip. Obviously, they haven't seen enough from him in practice. Remember, he's repping every practice against Decker and Sewell, and the coaches haven't seen enough from him yet, I would presume, to put him out there on game day. I also want to mention, going back to Karsh's question, it also jumped out something Dan Campbell said today about Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's how much he's grown from a pass-catching perspective over the past month and certainly over this playoff run. We heard all about that when he was drafted. You know, he was going to be this dual threat, positionless, multi-phase, explosive weapon. And he is now. And maybe it was partly because he had to be with Laporta pretty hobbled in that first playoff game. He kind of became Goff's safety valve outlet on some key third downs. But they are clearly intending to get Jahmyr Gibbs involved in the passing game. I think what's most telling about his growth is that he's caught every pass thrown to him by Goff during the playoffs so far. And I think they were a little bit off pretty much all season. I think the most glaring example on Gibbs' end may have been a drop against the Seahawks back in week 2, but they seem maybe a tick or two off on certain throws throughout the year. They seem to be on the same page now. I know Jared talked about it with you guys yesterday. He really has a good feel for where Gibbs wants to be, where he's going to go. There seems to be some telepathic connection between those two guys. So Jahmyr Gibbs really is the Lions' answer offensively for Christian McCaffrey, a guy who can hurt you on the ground and gash you in the air. He's certainly not on McCaffrey's level yet, but I think the way they have used him in the playoffs is a really good sign for how they might want to use him on Sunday.
Birchie, any indication on Khalif Raymond, if he has a chance to be back, and could Zach Ertz actually play a role some 6 days after signing?
I think that Zach Ertz can definitely play a role. They didn't sign him, I don't think, just to put him on the bench on Sunday. I don't know how much he'll really be involved in the passing game. I mean, maybe they just have faith in Zach Ertz to be a reliable extra blocker, or just run the Brock Wright New York Jets 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 play for 50 yards whenever they need it. And Khalif Raymond, this is just my gut. This isn't reporting. There's no inside knowledge here. I think Khalif Raymond's going to play on Sunday. I think Khalif Raymond is going to force his way and will himself back into action, because there isn't anyone tougher in that locker room. Certainly guys measure up with him like St. Brown and others, but I think Khalif Raymond's going to find his way onto the field Sunday, and who knows, maybe he makes a big play on special teams that changes the game.
You know, this is like the first time in forever it feels like that the Lions have been an underdog in a game. I guess since the Dallas game, maybe we need to go back that far. But Jameson Williams is a guy who's been trusted to do more with this offense. He's not just, used as a decoy or to take the safety away on deep patterns to allow things to open up underneath. But we keep waiting to see him used more and more in the offense. Is this the week we finally see maybe Jameson Williams unleashed as a ball carrier? Here comes the end around to J-Mo. Because it feels like now's the time you just let everything out of the bag.
Yeah, I totally agree. And they're going to need their full complement of weapons on Sunday. This is the best defense I think they've seen all season. Maybe the Ravens is the only one that compares, but the Niners have an answer for what the Lions can do offensively. They also have an answer for what they can do on defense. And I don't know. I feel like I've been saying this is J-Mo's week for 8 weeks now.
Same here, yeah.
So I don't want to continue to say that, as I did last week on the Fox 2 pregame show, 47-yard touchdown for J-Mo, take it to the bank. But, man, he is a guy who is a looming threat. He can break open a game at a moment's notice. I still wonder if Goff has complete trust in J-Mo on key third downs, on those gotta-have-it situations, and maybe getting the ball to him in the backfield is a way to overcome that. But this Niners secondary is full of ball hawks. I mean, they led the league in interceptions this season. They bring all kinds of pressure up front. So the receivers this week have to be on their details down to every inch, in and out of their breaks. You got to be where Goff needs you to be when he needs to be there. So this, to me, feels more than ever like a game where Goff is probably going to trust guys like Laporta and St. Brown, guys who he has that connection with and he can rely on to be exactly where he expects them to, and then to make the catch, make contested catches, because this is a sticky secondary, like I said, a relentless pass rush. I think Goff, maybe more than someone like J-Mo, will rely on his St. Browns and Laportas on Sunday.
All right, final thing from me. Did anybody ask Dan Campbell today if bulletin board material matters?
No, I don't think anyone did, but listen, we can probably get him on the phone for you right now, Garth. Hey, I think you guys should have Skip Bayless call in next.
He doesn't pay attention to
Yeah,
anybody.
but he's not following us on Twitter.
Do you see he doesn't
problem.
follow one person on Twitter?
Oh, my gosh.
Not one.
What a joke. What a joke. Get out of here. By the way, I love how he said, yeah, they're going to go lose next week in San Fran, but congrats on a great year. You know, it's a great year getting blown out at home by the Packers in the first round of the playoffs, as his cherished Cowboys did 2 weeks ago.
We didn't hate that. Birchie, great job as always. Thanks for joining us. Let's do this again. Yeah,
no doubt. And you know what, Carson? It kind of feels like a nice day for a lunch beer, doesn't it? I was thinking today it just kind of has a lunch beer kind of feel today. Rainy weather, maybe saddle up in a bar somewhere and just think about Sunday's game. Got to be top 5 beers, right? I mean, airport beer, shower beer, cold beer, free beer. I think lunch beer is right up there.
See,
how about dog walking beer? You ever one of those?
Oh, that's a good one, too. Beach beer. Golf course beer.
Come on, man. You didn't
know what?
mention,
next time we're on, we can break it down.
You never did hockey locker room beer. Come on.
That's a good one, too.
Yep.
I love when you find a beer that's been in your hockey bag for like 2 months, and you break it out because it's been getting cold in the parking lot. That's a good beer, too.
Of course it is. Hey, take care, Birchie.
All right, talk to you fellas soon.
Thanks, Pharrell.
I should have brought up the time he had the problems at the Speedway, stopping to get beer for our hockey game. They didn't believe it was his ID. They thought he had a
because
fake.
he's out of state?
Yeah. He was not happy. The Birchie Kid, 4 parts content, 1 part clown. You'll see him on Fox 2 every week. And usually he's the guy with the Christmas hat or the ugly sweater or the whatever goofy outfit he can come up with.